hello, and welcome to a new episode of Daddy Recovery. Let's discuss. Chit chat, chit chat. So I want to encourage everybody who's listening to please leave stories in the comments section. Give me your stories. Give me your heart. Don't give me your opinion. Who cares? No. Give me your wisdom. Don't give me an opinion. Actually, don't give me an opinion. Give me wisdom. Tell me about yourself. And I say that because a fun fact about me. I like those YouTube tarot readers. I have a select few that I'm a fanatic of, and I try not to see them often because at the end of the day, it is a YouTube tarot reader, although some of them are like fantastic, but not everybody in pile number 2 who picked the pink crystal is going to end up filthy rich. Let's be real. But one of them that is really great, and I think at the end of the day, I see her because she offers a lot of wisdom, which is why I would love, your perspectives on how to elevate your life. Like everybody, wisdom can come from the most random places and spaces and people. So never think that you're not wise. You could always be wiser, but that's because wisdom is unlimited. So check that. But anyway, there's this tarot reader named White Feather Tarot, and she's fantastic. And the comment section is just so lovely. There's no hate. It is people sharing their stories and what they're trying to overcome, how they're overcoming it, sharing their wisdom of just like really deep thoughts. I could cry. And one of the reasons I was so inspired to do Daddy Recovery is this comment was left by a 58-year-old man who said, I am finally facing my daddy issues. And he wrote about how he left his home at 18. His father was terribly abusive towards him, even physical, made him feel like poop on the ground, had a family, was responsible. His wife died, unfortunately. His kids are now out of the home, and he's 58. And he's kind of shocked how all the first 18 years of his life just caught up with him. And now he's finally going for his happiness. He's finally trying to be a happy man that at times is sad, not a sad man that is at times happy. And I cried because to be honest, and that's what this Let's Discuss episode is about. It's about happiness. I remember being a little girl, and you could imagine what I was going through, and saying, I really want to be happy when I grow up. I really want to be happy. I felt so overwhelmed by my father and his abusiveness and his feelings. And then my mother and her ability to just shut it out. And she had a lot of health issues. So I kind of try to give her grace. I think as somebody who has had her own health issues, I feel when my body shuts down or betrays me, my emotions obviously become heightened. And the worst part is the ones that get heightened are the ones you feel most. So if you feel a lot of anxiety, if you feel a lot of fear, it's one of the reasons, growing up with a spiritual family, I think I've discussed it, or at least I will. I've had family members that are santeros, espiritistas, devout Christians. I really grew up in multiple religions. And one thing they always told me is the day you die, make sure you don't die with like anxiety and fear, because death is really the loss of a body. Like you're still you are still a soul, and whatever feelings that you felt are more amplified because now you don't have your body to help you distract, to help you go to people or go get things, and it's almost like you just sit in your feelings. And as somebody who has had to be like months in bed, it's true. And I had my body still, but I just felt like I was swimming in my feelings. And my mother was very sick while I was growing up. And it's so crazy how horrible my father was to her and to me when I think of how sick she was. Just like super manipulative and he really thought he was the victim of everybody, including his own choices. And one thing that I've caught myself in, and you could hear it in an episode of Magic, is that I don't believe in magic anymore. I don't believe my life could be magical. It's one of the things that my father crushed via his abuse. And that manifests into something else, which is I don't believe I can be happy. And God, I might cry when I say that because I remember so clearly being in my bed and just praying to God that when I grow up, I am happy. I'm so happy. I'm so safe. I'm the one. I could do whatever I want. No rules, no pressure. Because that was the thing. My mother shut my father down in terms of his abusiveness and even but part of that was shutting me down when I mentioned it or said I was uncomfortable. And then she was so strict and so harsh that sometimes I felt like there was no escape route. Because my father was a yo-yo. He was fun when convenient. You know, if he needed to impress my mom and if he needed to ask her for a favor, maybe some money, that's when he was good to me. If he was good to me. Because one thing that I realized in perspective that makes me so angry that I have lost a sense of joy is that that my father was very boring. In perspective, part of he was very charismatic, but he was also empty. And I felt like, at a party he was a hit, but in private he was a loser. And what I see now in perspective is I got the loser. Because, man, he could mesmerize a crowd and make it like be big and tall and gregarious. And he was never funny. He was not a funny human being, but he knew how to laugh and he knew how to go with the vibe and kind of check what people wanted from him so he could get what he wanted from them. And I would get his emptiness. The veil would drop the minute we were in private. And I got the guy who only liked to spew hatefulness about everybody in his life, including his other family that he was providing for. Oh, my other wife, she's a beast. She's ugly inside and out. My other daughter, she fights with everybody. And sometimes I don't know if it was true, because in perspective, I'm like, was he saying that because he probably said the same thing about me? Was he saying those things so that to kind of justify why he didn't want me to have any relationship with them? And when I look back at how overwhelming that dynamic was, I mean, he was saying those things when I was 5, and how inescapable it was because my mother was so sick, and then she just did not have the emotional handle to be somebody I could unpack with. Even till to this day, I call my mother and I'll be like, I'm so down. And she's like, I'm so tired. And now I'm trying to be happy and more constantly so. And I've had to recognize that it's always been in my hands. Like, I'm alone in that journey. And the very people that I turned to make that journey less alone left me lonelier. And for various reasons, health issues. And my father was just a screw up, a deadbeat. But when I saw that comment, to bring it back to that YouTube comment, it made me feel like maybe I'm not too old, even though I am young, but unhappiness makes you feel so old. My father really did age me. And sometimes I thought it was just he was aging me in his head, which he was, because he treated me like an adult. Like, he never treated me like a little girl. But now I realize he literally aged me because he took joy. We never played. We never, oh my God, I just said that and I realized we never played. I never played with my dad. And even when I tried to build, like, I remember, oh, my dog is like shaking his little bell. He's so cute. I remember like watching TV shows and listing movies that I wanted to bring up with him, because if we weren't talking about like pop culture stuff like music, he was probably berating me and saying, I'm stupid, I'm ugly, I'll never give you anything. I'm going to give my grandkids flights to Europe, but you could die, I just remember doing things to avoid his wrath and his cruelty, and to avoid what he wanted from me, which he wanted me to hate his family. He wanted me to be jealous of them. And to be honest, I was so glad that they're safe, because as the victim of his abuse, I know his darkness. As the scapegoat for his malice, I know how bad he can get. So I honestly felt relief. But now I'm like, I feel relief. I feel like I could survive. And this was what the episode Magic was all about. I want to feel bigger things. I want to feel happy. I really want to feel happy. I want to feel rich and abundant and wealthy, not just because I deserve it, because I obviously suffered from paternal abuse, but I want to feel it because it's a part of the human experience. And I know people have felt it. And it's like I was talking with my friend, Yali, actually, who you hear about in a lot of episodes, and I write about her. We were talking about, I know true love exists because I exist and I really am loving. And if I have faith and a real desire to have happiness, it must be because happiness exists, especially for me. Like it's almost like it's calling me and it's telling me, grow up, let go of the past. You're going to be okay. You're going to be that 58-year-old man commenting on YouTube. I finally healed. And I'll leave you with this quote. I watched Monkey Man, which was really good, frustrating because I hate when heroes make bad choices, but maybe I'll do a review about it later. And there was a part where a character, Alpha, says, pain will leave you once it stops teaching you. And I was so mesmerized by that quote because I am in a lot of pain. And I'm learning a lot, and I'm putting it in Daddy Recovery, and that's why I would love if you guys told me what you were learning, because I genuinely don't want to feel alone anymore. I don't want to feel like the only person aiming for joy, even if it's by themselves. So check out Daddy Recovery on all platforms. Please follow, subscribe. I put all my handles. It will really be a help. And listen to my music on all platforms under Deandra. Business Class just came out, and it's a Daddy Recovery, Mr. H. That guy.